So we are going to brew an aeropress. You will have to figure out what grind setting works best for you. I tend to go slightly finer than I would use for pour over. And the reason I don't go finer than that is that I otherwise get astringency in the cup. So I like to use something like 18 grams. Try and show you what the grind size looks like. Not sure if you can see. Something like this here. I like to use a sturdy mug on which the aeropress can sit very evenly, so a wide mug is usually quite good. So now I'm going to use the regular aeropress filters with the Prismo attachment. So this is not necessary, you can also use the regular aeropress cap, but I find it a bit easier to avoid side channeling with the Prismo cap because it has this silicone ring around it that prevents any flow of water on the edges of the puck. So I basically place the dry filter in, lock it in. I make sure that it's quite tight just to be sure there's no leakage. Then I'm gonna tear the scale. I'm gonna shake a little bit to get an even bed of coffee. Like that. I'm gonna tear again. Now I'm gonna go get the kettle and I'm gonna fill the aeropress with water. So for this I'm using 100 C water, actually 99 C, so that it's easier to pour because 100 C doesn't behave very well with the fellow kettle because of the very narrow gooseneck. So you can say I have this like computer monitor turntable that I find useful for many things for pour over. It's really not necessary, but it makes it a little bit easier to pour. I'm gonna leave just a little bit of space at the top here, like that. I'm gonna use a spoon. So I went to 260 grams almost. I'm gonna use a spoon here, put it all the way down, and then do a back and forth motion, not a circular motion, and go all the way up to make sure everything is stirred properly. The reason I don't do a circular motion is that it would favor the creation of a dome-shaped bed, and that's bad for the percolation phase. So now I'm gonna take the mug off of the scale and put the cap on. You can hear that I got some of the liquid out, which is not a big problem. Just do this. I'm gonna give it a little swirl, holding the plunger, because sometimes the plunger can go off, like that. And now I'm gonna wait until 5 minutes, and when I'm at my timer has stopped here, so hopefully yours won't do this. And when I'm at 5 minutes, I'm gonna swirl again. And at 9 minutes or even later, I'm gonna push very gently. Okay, we are now at about 5 minutes and I'm going to swirl the aeropress again. This is because a lot of coffee particles have now sedimented at the bottom, and I want to make sure that the coffee bed is flat, so I'm doing this like that. This is also another reason why a wide mug is desirable. Okay, so we are now at the 9 minutes mark and I'm going to push very gently, as gently as I can, to get somewhat of an even flow. So you can hear the pre-snow opening up. I noticed that if you have some scratches on the inside of your aeropress chamber, it's gonna be a bit harder to be very gentle on the piston. So it's good to try and keep the inside of the aeropress as intact as you can. Now what I have here is one of the more recent models of the aeropress, in which you can see a little bit better through the plastic, and this will allow me to see the shape of the coffee bed when the water is dripped out. I still cannot see it through the Siri, however. So this looks pretty flat, so that's a good sign. Okay, now there's no more water, so I'm gonna do this little trick by James Hoffman, where you just pull a little on the piston, and this helps you avoid having spillage when you turn it over. And here you go, you can enjoy your coffee.